within that email was also a link to the My Networks platform, which is really important, not just to join the network, which has its own benefits in and of itself, but also there's a survey, a pre-programmed survey attached to that. So it's a pre-programmed survey. Filling that out gives us a sense of where you were as you were starting and where you will end up once. So I just want to stress that email was sent out today for everybody before it comes to our regular
Thank you everyone for being here. Our distinguished panel of judges, and we'll our co-starters, our Blackstone Business Launch participants, guests. We've got a few guests from GHCD here tonight. Zachary Woodruff, who used to be in my position, and Sarah Dunnigan, both from GHCD. And you know the rest of us. Maybe we'll just start and just state your name real quickly. We'll go down the table.
Hi, I'm Sharon Harrop. Alfreda Jarrett Reynolds. Brandy Schwaddington.
Brentley Morris.
Sam Montana.
They'll be our judges. And I think maybe just on behalf of Downtown Blackstone Inc., we're thrilled that you're here. Thrilled for certainly the funding from GHCD that allowed this to take place. And it's been a great 10-week class that we've had, and this is be a wonderful culmination. Our co-facilitators, Brandon and Catherine Ann, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Can everyone hear me pretty well? Yeah. Awesome. So, the way things are going to work, obviously I can fill a room with my voice. If you have a tendency to be a lower volume, just kind of step a little bit closer to elevate your volume. I tested it real quick with Sharon, and this is probably an appropriate place. You are presenting to them as your judges. I mean, everyone else is kind of peripheral audience members. Just be aware of that. So just be aware of the spatial distance. Again, how much time do you have to pitch? 5 minutes. I'm going to kind of be in the background, keeping track of time, to give you like a heads up, like, oh, you're running out of time type of thing, okay? You may hear an alarm, and that's just to be equitable in terms of the amount of time that everyone has to present, and then another time for questions and answers for the judges, another 5 minutes. So, any questions before we get things started with Jeannie?
Hi, my name is Jeannie Nelson, and I'm representing Liberty Hollow Suites. I am a chocolatier with over 30 years experience. It's all I've ever done and all I've ever wanted to do. I started my business in a little town called Roseboro, North Carolina in 2003. That was in December. And by February on Valentine's Day, it was already clear to us that we needed to move to a larger facility. It was very popular. So we moved to downtown Fayetteville, North Carolina, which is very similar to Blackstone in the way it's done. And during the 15 years that I ran my business in Fayetteville, I stayed involved in the community through volunteerism, as well as donating to many military and community organizations because we're near Fort Bragg. In 2017, I closed my business and I followed my boyfriend to Maryland for a job. In Virginia, we moved here in 2019. My plan was to have a wholesale business because I understood the cost of opening another brick and mortar. Then I came across an ad for Co.Starters, and I saw an opportunity to perhaps resurrect a business that I had a very good, a lot of success with it, and it was very well run. Excuse me, I'm sorry. So I was hoping that I might be able to resurrect that business in Blackstone instead of just a wholesale business. Through the help of the DBI, I found the perfect building. It's 123 South Main Street. It's a lovely building that's owned by David and Renee Cannon. And they were not looking to rent the building out until they met me and heard my story, and most importantly, tried some of my chocolates. So we had a discussion, we met, and we came to some terms for rentals, and the length and the rent prices, those are all in my handouts that I gave you. So what will I sell? Well, I make over 100 different kinds of chocolate, and that's because everything I do, I usually do in milk, white, and dark, because people have their preferences. So I do things like strawberries, cherries, truffles, peanut butter cups, nut clusters, but also many flavors of fudge, caramel apples, cotton candy, and even flavored popcorns. But that's not it. In the summertime, the sales of chocolate go down, so we have ice cream at our store to balance out the slow season. So as we'll have ice cream, milkshakes, cones, and sundaes. All the goodies will be made fresh on the premises. Other services that we have are, we want to offer customers a place to go and sit down and enjoy a cup of coffee or a soda, and ice cream, chocolate, and enjoy some free Wi-Fi. We have fountain rentals. We have 3 different size fountains that can accommodate events and parties for anywhere from 25 to 300 or over people. We also offer treat making classes where with our instruction, children and adults alike can learn how to make their own goodies that they'll make there and be able to take home. These are great for small groups and birthday parties, things like that. We also plan on offering flavored coffee drinks, specialty drinks. We want to have an espresso machine so that we can do lattes and cappuccinos and whatever else the community would be interested in. We'd love to offer indoor seating along with our Wi-Fi so that people can stay and allow them to conduct some business or the internet, just hang out. We plan to offer Tuesday through Saturday hours at a minimum to start. We'll be open at least until 6 o'clock, but I'm hearing 7 might be better, and we're good with that. That would allow families to come after a ball game, or after school, after work, and visit together for a snack. We plan on hiring several entry-level employees from the local community. They would also be able to learn the art of chocolate making if they get a job there. So what do I need? Well, currently, that building used to house the Blackstone Cafe, but it doesn't have a kitchen now. So I would need to have a kitchen built out. I do bring a lot to the table, as I have my own oven, I have racks, I have stainless steel tables, I have a lot of those things, but I need to have an actual section off area with some plexiglass so that people can't get back there, but they'll be able to watch me work, and people really like that. I would like to have an espresso machine, a coffee machine, a coffee grinder, and some tables and chairs. 3 months rent to start would really be fabulous, just to take a little bit more of the pressure off. And
if you would, make your final remarks.
My time is now up, but I would love to sell you some chocolate and ice cream and coffee in my store. I appreciate your time. Thank you. I thought about it, but I was afraid that that might be considered bribery.
That's a good
Whatever works.
What were your hours of operation again?
We were thinking that we would open about 9 o'clock in the morning until 6 to start and see what the community wants to do. That's the way I did it in past businesses. I want to be here for the community. Whatever, if they want to buy coffee, then I'm going to be open.
Will you also be doing wholesale or just that retail?
Yes, I did put some information in there about that right now. We want to have a very robust wholesale business. And right now I do sell in 2 different places, at the Mill Street Suites in Farmville and at the Vintage Antique Shack in Powhatan. We were selling at the Vintage Antique Shack in Farmville as well, but it just didn't make sense to be right across the street from another location. I'm also in negotiations with the Lazy Daisy, and they have 8 different locations. So right now I don't have a kitchen that would accommodate that volume, but if I'm able to open my location in Blackstone, then I would absolutely be in all 8 of those as well as the others.
So already branched now.
ready.
It's wonderful.
So,
7 days a week, 6 days a week.
absolutely. As long as if that's what the community wants and they'll support that, I'm happy to be open 7 days a week. Yes.
So what demographic are you focused on? And when I say that, I mean age group.
Well, my demographic is women, mainly. That women buy for themselves, and when men come in, they're mostly buying for women. Now, that's not to say that I don't sell to men, but that's my main customer base. And I do sell a lot to parents for their children. I have a full line of kitty chocolates. I do little bugs and worms and frogs, all kinds of. I do a bug catcher that's full of different color bugs. And the kids love it. They come in, they want the gummy bears and the worms. So I would say that, gosh, you know, I have some information in there too about the chocolate buyers. And they're really everybody loves chocolate, but I would say that women of all ages and children mainly. I hope that helps.
If you were to open this business downtown, what is the marketing plan to really see or to bring in traffic? Would this be just for your locals, or are you looking at making this an experience that is attracting outside people into Blackstone?
I'm absolutely hoping that I'll be able to bring in customers from the surrounding towns and counties. I don't think that there's anything like what I'm proposing to do anywhere around, and I'm hoping that people will drive there. I'm depending on that. So I would have an exciting social media campaign. I've done that before. I plan on putting ads in the newspaper. I've done radio before. So whatever it takes to get the word out, I understand that it's going to take some effort to get the word out. But I have a really good word of mouth reputation. Once people come in, they're excited, and the word really has traveled fast in the past. So I'm hoping that will help too.
Word of mouth is always the best piece of marketing.
So,
I noticed that you're asking for 28,000, well over 28,000. If you already did half of that, would you be able to open up?
I could. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So you would be in a position to be able to do most of this and then have to phase in the rest as you...
Well, I'm not opposed to putting my own money in as well. I do understand that that's probably going to be a requirement. And even with that, I expect that there'll be things that I don't have in that paper that will sneak up on me at the last minute. But I am right now retired, and my business partner will be retired in October, and we're both very comfortable. We don't really need a salary, so we'll be able to reinvest. So if I can only get a countertop pour-over coffee machine, I'm okay with that, and we'll buy something more exciting later. I don't know an exact figure. I didn't do the calculations for what was my lowest, but I think that half of that would probably be okay.
You're probably going to have to up your marketing budget. You got 1,500 here, and you're going to need more than that.
Oh, okay.
So just...
Well, yeah, I do a lot I advertise with my chocolate too. I give a lot of chocolate away, and I have little chocolate business cards that I give to people. I'm always talking. All my clothing is branded, so people see me when I'm out and about, and they'll ask about it. And that gives me a great opportunity to advertise too, wherever I am.
Well, judges, thank you for some wonderful questions. Jeannie, thank you for a wonderful pitch.
So much.
Thank you.
Sorry, I only have one copy. I am an RV mom. Okay.
Allie, you just let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
All right.
Hi, y'all. I'm Alicia Barfield. I'm also known as the RV Mom in Pink because I'm the pink one. Now, I've been in Blackstone for 7 years now. We are an RV family, so I work from a 6x12 trailer to make my different projects. I make unique and functional resin artwork, which is a mixture of pre-polymers and polymers that literally make very durable objects for self-defense as well as family times. So this can range from your home garden area, I do many times. It can range from self-defense for when you need it or when your family members need it. I can create anything from displays for food as well as pictures, covering pictures, old pictures that you have that you just want to make sure that they don't get damaged. I can create objects from that as well. It can be branched as far as doing countertops to mimic real stone or exotic stone that will cost you a pretty penny, but only cost you about $300 to $500 to actually have a countertop that mimics. It's scratch resistant, heat resistant, and very, very durable. The keychains that you see in front of you have a material cost of $1. I can make those in any color, any shade, any techniques. I create, if you look in the green horse on the chessboard, I can create smoky effects that a lot of hobbyists don't take the time to learn. I like the harder techniques because I want to do furniture later and incorporate these unique blends all together. Now, these keychains I sell for $10. And I have had great success at the Diversity Market in Richmond, which is our, what I like to call the Rainbow Mafia, and as well as the Witch Market. So I'm very open to different diverse communities, and I want them to feel safe coming to me no matter what they want. Everything under the sun I can literally make. Just give me a little bit of time. Now, I made $400 in 4 hours at the Diversity Market, so I'm very confident in opening a storefront here in downtown Blackstone at the Blackstone Antiques and Crafts Store. I've already talked with Sheila and discussed the arrangements, and I have a reservation hopefully by July 15th or August 1st at the very latest. I will be open and available. I hope to gain more, like I said, this is my first time doing something like this, so I want to gather that year's worth of data from the Blackstone Antiques Craft Store so that I can know and ensure my success as I grow into larger projects. In order to create more of the end tables, coffee tables, and full-on dining room tables, I will have a few heavy equipment options that I do need to have in order to be successful with that. On the list, you'll see a slab jig. That is actually a rotary tool that is used across it that rides on a plane. It's much cheaper and more effective way of starting out without buying a big planer machine, which is, it sands like doors and cabinetry to make sure that they're all even. This is just a smaller version of that tool. My goal is to ultimately make this a family business so that me and my husband can work in this business. My marketing plans include using Facebook Live, where I was a coach for over 7,200 people, using Facebook entrepreneurs to show them how to use Facebook and Instagram and how they integrate. I'm asking $3,023 for the equipment, the year rental, so that way I can create and gather the data, as well as the heavier equipment in order to go ahead and start processing my bigger tables and whatnot. So you can find me at Allie at rvmomandpink.com or rvmomandpink.com or rvmomandpink everywhere. So you can please take these keychains as my thanks, as well as thanks to all my fellow classmates for listening to us be nervous as all get out and just, yeah. Thank you.
So if you're running a space at the antique mall, is that going to be big enough for you to start creating these bigger pieces?
Yes, ma'am. She actually has, as spaces become available, she has larger areas that I can grow into and actually create larger spaces for my art. For my temporary figs, I'm starting with end tables or a coffee table. I'm going to use threaded inserts for the screws and have them packaged on the back. So that way it's a condensed version and you can assemble at home with just a simple screw.
So at some point, you'll actually be doing some manufacturing too.
Yes, ma'am.
So you'll be moving in, once you get, so if I understand it, you are getting the space there so you can start selling things, and then you'll be moving into a larger manufacturing.
Yes, ma'am. I actually have a 7x18 trailer that I will be moving into. I currently work out of a 6x12 trailer right now. Right behind our RV that's picking, so I plan to grow, and once extremely the river tables and countertops will be more off-site and more in-home. The tables, possibly chairs, whatever's under the sun, can be either manufactured inside of my own trailers and sold in the store. That way there's no adverse effects, because it can be toxic for humans to breathe consistently. That's why eventually I hope to have a restaurant quality space, because it has the exhaust and the ventilation and the heat safety in order to create these bigger items.
How do the countertops hold up to industry standard retail that you provide?
Well, most part is when you start looking at countertops, most of the time they have a lacquer finish, which can be scraped, it can be scuffed, it can be really damaged. With a deep pour resin, it's actually heat resistant to the point where you take a pan off of a red eye off the stove, place it on a counter, it does not misshapen, it does not deteriorate. You can scratch it, dent it, it's all resistant. And it literally is 1/3 of the price that you would get for a marble finish. It can be $300 to $500 instead, where it mimics the stone that you want, as well as expensive exotic stones that you get the oranges and the blues and everything in it, as well as the wood ones that you see where the river runs through it. That's why it's called a river table. You can incorporate LED lights for different barroom scenarios. So pretty much anything under the sun that you can let your imagination dream of.
Limited possibilities. That's a good thing.
And I can also help my fellow students with food displays, because it is FDA food grade safe epoxy resin once it is cured. So you can prep, you can serve, and display food on these items as well. So no harmful contaminants or anything like that.
Any other questions from the judges?
I have one more. How long have you been doing this? You might have said it.
I've been doing this for a year now.
You know a lot of information about
Yes, ma'am. And I literally will be using the local post office as well. I've shipped from Washington State, Kentucky, Kansas, Oklahoma, California, Wyoming, North Dakota, South Dakota, quite a few places already.
So let's just say worst case scenario, this doesn't pan out, would you still be able to open? Are
Yes,
you still
ma'am.
committed to the cause? of
Yes,
to be
ma'am.
able to
All I
open?
have to do is sell 8 of these keychains each month, and that pays for my rent at the antique shop. So worst case scenario is I go to market for one day and I can pay all of my rent for the year. So either way, this is something that I will do.
Very good.
How long have you been in the area?
7 years. I've been in this area for 7 years.
Allie, judges, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Smith-Oaks, and I'm the founder and owner of Out of the Box Enrichment Space. I have a quick question for you guys. Do you guys have children, nieces, nephews, or anybody of the school age descent that pretty much goes to school from kindergarten all the way up to college who have struggled virtually? Have you heard any children complain about the virtual learning experience, where they figure that the work is either too hard for them, the teacher isn't communicating it to them in the ways in which they need? Have you ever heard the parents complain about the schoolwork as well, that it's too challenging for their child, or maybe the materials in which they are getting is not sufficient enough for their child at all? During this pandemic, our children suffered a lot. when it came to the quality and the lifespan of their education. And that affected a lot of things. The Virginia Department of Education put out a thing where they had to literally lower the SOL brackets for our children just so that the schools would be able to meet their quota for the year. So that was a huge hit on a lot of the school districts around the area as well. Out of the box enrichment space will be a safe space for children to learn. I will be providing such services such as tutoring, private tutoring sessions, group sessions, homework help, and computer time, and a lot of different things just to kind of get our kids up to par and going to be where they need to be at. I currently do not have a location at this time, but I am working with somebody in the area that will be willing to provide that space for me. She's very excited, so I'm very excited to work with her as well. My startup cost would be about $7,200, and that would include computers, tablets, printers, tables, arts and crafts, basic supplies, and yeah, I messed that all up. I apologize. I just jumped. I'm trying to memorize notes and I jumped all over the place. I truly do apologize for that. I'm so nervous. I do have over 5+ years of working in the school system. I have worked for private and public school systems, so I'm very diverse in all subjects, K through 12, special education as well too, and all disabilities. My specialty areas, again, will be all subjects. I'm pretty fluent in a lot of it. And basically the services will just be working around the Virginia Standards core concepts. So it will literally be if the child comes in and they're struggling, say, on fractions, then they will come to me and I will provide the materials for them so that we can work on fractions and so that they are able to master that key concept or whatever, or even if they need like strategies or anything like that. Trying to think what else. I will offer a college night session as well for those students who struggle with completing the college application, need help with FAFSA or anything like that, because that is a service that is not offered in most schools. I will also provide test prep as well for ACT, SATs, and GED prep as well. So that will be also a service that can be offered too. My age groups will focus from SOL ages, so that will be 3rd grade to 12th. If somebody does need help with a child that is from 2nd grade and under, I'm willing to do that as well. But my level of comfort will be from 3 to 12. It's just the basic concept of my enrichment space is just to provide that safe space for children to come in and to feel comfortable learning, because a lot of children don't feel comfortable raising their hand and asking questions inside of the classroom. So I just want to be able to open up my doors so that if they are struggling on something, they can come in and they can get the help and services in which they need. And that is it.
Will you help the hiring staff? I mean, yeah, what is your capacity?
For right now, I do have ratios on the brochure that I provided for you guys as well. So right now, for me, just being by myself, I don't want any more than 4. And that will be during 1-hour blocks or 2-hour blocks for whatever session they decide they want to book at that time. The prices are also on there, and I have some that are free. Some free with a sponsorship, meaning that I would love to partner up with local schools in the surrounding areas, because there's not a tutoring service in any of the areas. You have to either go to Farmville or you have to go to Lynchburg in order to get some type of assistance. And even those tutoring spaces, they are not meeting face-to-face anymore. A lot of them are choosing to go virtually because they can kind of reach a broader band of people. However, the prices that starts off for most of them are starting from $35, and they're all going all the way up to $300 depending on the child's level and what it is that they need help on. So my prices will reflect something that's a little bit more efficient to the families in the area. So I don't want to rob them, or a child really needs the help that they can't afford to send their child to me. So I want to be able to provide a service with them, but a good quality service for an affordable price.
So right now, you would just be you, and if it was your ratio, would be you with 1 to 2, or you with 1 or 2 to 6?
Yes.
Did you have plans to hire anybody else?
Yes. In the future, I do want to hire somebody else, just because it would kind of take a little bit more off of me, and then I don't want to be in a place by myself. So I do plan, but I kind of want to get things established and rolling first before I take on anybody else.
So have you established those relationships with the local school systems to kind of trigger them the direction you're going to? Or have you made any steps with your local community in order to just kind of test the market to see if people are interested in participating?
Not for Blackstone, no ma'am.
How are you going to market this service?
I would love to start off with just like you guys have, just posting up different brochures, probably sitting down and talking with a couple of counselors, principals, and assistant principals. And then also trying to link with the Department of Social Services as well, and trying to give out flyers that way. Currently trying to establish a social media page so that I can market out that way, because so far social media is kind of like the key point for everything. So that would be another marketing way for me as well.
Where are you planning to do this? Do you have storefront space in mind?
The current location that I'm looking at, yes, it is a open floor concept, and it is more so of a storefront.
So where is it located?
She has 2 locations, but we haven't pinpointed one yet because she's kind of doing some work in construction support.
Is one of them in the historic
Yes,
section?
ma'am.
How important is that to you to be in the historic section?
It's important. I guess it's just mainly because you have so many of the schools that are in the area, so it's easier for them, even if they walk or take a bus, it's easier for them to commute and get to me. Even if I have to set up something virtually, I'm willing to do that as well. But I still want to be somewhere where if a child needs me, or if somebody who decided that, school wasn't their route and they wanted to test out for their GED, they can still get to me as well.
So you're going to do help with GEDs as well?
Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
And you may have said this, are you already tutoring?
No.
Okay.
But I have been teaching for quite some time now, so I feel very confident and comfortable with it.
So would this be full-time, or are you going to teach them to do this?
Well, the hours of operation, for me, I would love to do something pretty much all day, because I do offer virtual learning space as well. So if somebody wants to come in, say if the parent doesn't want them sitting at home and they want to bring them in, then they can come into that space and do so as well. I'm willing to sacrifice that in order to do that as well. I love teaching, but I'm just not a fan of the politics of the school system. So if I need to step back from out of the classroom, I'm willing to do that as well.
Judges, any final questions?
If you did not receive a dollar from this fund, would you still do this?
Yeah, I still do it, absolutely. I love working with the children, and I'm passionate about what I do. So if this doesn't work out, I'm still going to be back in the school system, teaching, and still doing the things that I love to do on this side of the world.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, picture this. It's photography time. The kids are starting to grow up. Some are about to get ready to go off to college. But you need a photographer. But you don't want to break the bank, and you don't want to drive hours and hours away to find somebody. Or, post-COVID, your business is about to reopen. It's time to do some rebranding, and you probably need headshots. And again, you don't want to drive too far off, and you don't want to break the bank. Another issue, things with business is time sensitive. You don't want to take weeks and months for you to get your photography back or even your videography. So allow me to frame for you the solution. Allow me to introduce to you my business, In-Depth Productions. My name is Carl Bassfield Jr., and I am a native right here in Blackstone, Virginia. Did you know that the photography industry is a $10.9 billion industry and is slated to increase about 2.8% over the next year, with heavy emphasis on commercial photography? Good news is, In-Depth Productions already does commercial photography. We have a number of realtors that we work with week after week, getting their properties taken care of and out there on the market and listed. We do this with high quality and precision, and the amount of time that it takes us to do it, not weeks, not months, hours. So a lot of times I go on these real estate shoots at 11 o'clock in the morning. 11 o'clock in the morning. I'll leave at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The realtor has their work on their computer about 4 or 5 o'clock that same afternoon. When it comes to photography, 24 to 48 hours is normally what I pitch to everybody. Within 24 hours, though, normally you have your photography sitting right there waiting on you. So how do I do this and still maintain the same high level or level of quality as my competitor? By my equipment. Right now, the equipment that I use, you see EOS Canon 5D Mark IV. It's one of the better cameras in the market, but when I bought this camera, it was used. The cameras actually have a lifespan of 300,000 pictures or clicks. This one right here, I have no way of knowing what the amount of pictures is without downloading apps and running diagnostics. I can tell you the first time I deleted pictures off my computer, it was 40,000. Since then, I've deleted pictures off my computer about 2 or 3 other times, and I need to do it again now. So this right here might be reaching its lifespan. So what I'm here doing, I'm requesting $22,000 in funding, not only to help me upgrade and replace my equipment, but to help me to open a studio location here in Blackstone. Now that studio location isn't just going to be for me. It's actually going to be a shared space for other photographers in the area, other videographers in the area. So you'll be able to come in to a fully stacked studio, use the lights and backdrops for your clients. By doing that, I'm building a relationship and I'm also building a team. So for these larger events, I have people that I know that I can trust. I have people that I've seen their work, and we can go and get the job done. So, as far as current business, I've already told you that I'm heavy on the commercial side, but when it comes to regular general photography, families, whether it's graduation pictures or whatever, a studio is really nice. You don't have to combat with the heat and the other weather elements. You don't have to worry about scheduling certain places and things like that. So every item that you see on that list is extremely important to the success of the studio function. In bold, you'll find some big ticket items. Those items are the absolute most important. You'll see 2 cameras. Why does he need 2 cameras? One, every photographer needs a second camera. If the first camera goes down, that's my business. If this were to fall right now and break, I may as well sit down until I get it fixed. So, one camera you'll see is the EOS 6. That one is really, really, really good for photography. The other one's really good for videography. Then you'll see one that says Matterport. That is for your real estate, your 3D virtual walkthroughs. All of this stuff is really important. In-Depth Productions is art captured and remastered for your viewing pleasure. We do videography, photography, and music production all in-house. And it's also my goal to hire and train in the future people from this area and elsewhere, so that way I can further build my team. In-Depth Productions isn't just in Virginia. We've actually stepped out. We'll be handling a concert in November and October called the Millennium Tour with big-name celebrities such as Bow Wow. I've also done concerts in Washington, D.C. for people like Q Parker and other celebrities. I have a lot of contacts out here in the photography world, out in Georgia and California, which are my 2 mentors come from. They're celebrity photographers. In-Depth Productions will be a household name in the future. It's one that you won't be able to forget. Thank you.
All right, so in looking through this, it says June 2021, Richmond's top 21 photographer number 6. Will you list that?
Yes, sir. If you were to go and Google Richmond photographer, the listing should be there unless they updated it again sensitive for the next month. And number 6, you'll see in-depth production. On expertise.com, if you were doing search engine optimization, I believe this would actually be pretty good because it's about between the first and the second listing that you'll find after your paid ads. And also, I forgot to mention, when it comes to marketing, I currently market across several different platforms. What I do is I look at a 30-day time period and see, how many clicks I'm getting, how many impressions am I getting, and I go from there as to decide whether or not I'm going to continue to stick with that advertising or not. And if you look around, you see some of my equipment. This right here is recording everybody, and their responses and things like that. And I'm actually mirroring that to my phone where I can move it around and see everything. But this right here, I'm already below 50% power, and we haven't been here that long. Another reason why equipment is important.
So aside from the commercial photography and some of the things that I see here, as things are beginning to open back up, have you expanded your market back toward the weddings and things of that sort? How's it working?
Weddings are awesome. My basic package starts off at $14.95, and actually we'll raise that to $1,800 because I'm still below all of the other photographers. Schools. I want to get into the schools. Building a relationship with the kids is important, especially when you're right here at home, because you not only go from doing school photo shoots, just like Life Touch does, because I have the ability to offer that now, but you get into graduations. Then those kids grow up and they get married. They have kids. That's why I said in-depth productions will be a household name in this area and others.
Talk to me about your building location. What type of building are you looking for? Have you identified?
Yes, I've checked out a building. It's on the 200 block of South Main Street, right downtown. A couple of buildings from Tabata Bakery on the exact same side of the road. I believe it's across from Alpha Cour.
Do you already have an agreement in place with the owner?
I do not. I have spoken with the owner, though, and she has some renovations and things to get taken care of, but everything will be good to go soon after. The only thing I'm lacking is funding.
That can always be challenging.
Yes.
So you talked about a shared space. How many people do you envision sharing this space with, and what will it cost those people monthly to share that?
If you're familiar with an app called Peerspace, what you do is you go on there and you see pictures of nice locations, whether it's an empty building or a photography studio. You would sign up, and for $50 an hour, I would allow you to come in. The only thing you need to bring is your client and your camera. And you can have a studio shoot too. That's something that we don't have here in this area. You would have to go to Richmond and elsewhere to find something. So I'm opening it up so other photographers can be successful. Gone are the days of the crab and the bucket mentality. We can all work together. There's enough money out here for us to work together.
So you've got all the props and stuff like that?
I do not. The reason I don't is because I don't have a space. Currently, my living room is doubling as a storage space. So I have a lot of photography equipment stored in my living room, and I can't get any more until I have somewhere to go.
Is that factored into this?
No, ma'am. Those pieces I actually do plan to purchase out of pocket because those props are nothing more than Goodwill furniture or something that you can find at a yard sale. Just you can use I can use the chair that you're sitting as a prop for you to sit in and take your pictures along with this table. I think there's so much that you can do. And I have been speaking with my teammates because there's so much that we can do together. Are there any other questions? All right. Thank you guys for your time. Thank you.
I'm Emma Rixman, and I'm a licensed clinical social worker here to present Olive Branch Behavioral Health. So Olive Branch Behavioral Health will offer clinically based counseling services to children as young as 4, teens, adults, couples, and families. So you may have noticed as you came into town recently from 460 that even VCU wants you to drive approximately 30 miles to get behavioral health care at their new location at Community Memorial Hospital. That's more time in the car than it is on the couch, right? So currently patients are receiving care far away, 30 miles plus. They're receiving care out of network So they're paying cash services, or they're receiving care locally by non-clinically based professionals. So the Health Resources and Statistics Association has long established that there's a need for behavioral health, specifically in rural America, right? Southern Virginia has even been identified as a specific catchment area for needing more behavioral health services. So my typical client is a local family with working parents, children in school who need accessibility, affordability, and convenience. And I define affordability as being able to use the insurance that you already paid for, right? So most people, like I mentioned, are traveling outside of the county to receive care. They're going to places like South Hill, Prince Edward, or even Chesterfield County. There are currently 2 non-clinically based professionals in town. Neither of them see children as young as 4, and neither of them are able to accept Medicaid. Opening a behavioral health practice like this, one that is able to offer services pro bono to some clients once being able to be successful, as well as offer free trainings and free raising awareness sort of activities for Blackstone is priceless, right? We just don't have that here. So also gaining access to behavioral health services just greatly improves overall health outcomes for community members. So the LLC has already been formed, and it's a sole ownership LLC. I am going to be the sole practitioner for the first 3 years, and then plan to be able to hire other practitioners as well. So I plan to outsource credentialing of insurance. That's something I can't find here in Blackstone, but I do plan to use local Blackstonians to do things like insurance billing once I become popular enough where I'm able to outsource that billing. A little bit about me, like I mentioned, I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I have more than 9 years experience. I have a bachelor's and master's degree in clinical social work, as well as trainings in things like trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy and Gottman's couples therapy. I transitioned into private practice myself in 2018 and currently see about 1,500 clients a year. So my clients will be able to access clinically based services locally without wait times, without having to travel, without having to pay out of pocket. I use evidence-based treatment so people can get treatment quickly, more effectively, and get out the door, essentially. The goal is not to have people in therapy forever, right? I offer a 53-minute session, and the typical insurance reimbursement rate is about $93 a session. I will also offer a self-pay rate of about $75 for people who are uninsured and underinsured. And like I mentioned, once I gain some traction, I'd like to offer some pro bono sessions as well to the community. I am also trauma-informed, I'm LGBTQ affirming, and I offer culturally competent care as well. In terms of my marketing and sales, I will mainly receive referrals from insurance companies. That's how most people are finding a counselor, who is in network. But I will also receive referrals from people like physicians, people like school counselors, things like that. I will do additional marketing on social media and Psychology Today, which is kind of the yellow pages of local therapists these days. And I also want to mention that in the network of therapy, it's all about relationships. And that I do now, for instance, I've been close to intakes throughout COVID, almost 2 years now, because it's all about relationships and people email me directly to make appointments. I don't have to even be open to intakes anymore. That's not obviously my goal here in Blackstone. I'd like to be able to get people in the door and hire more staff to be able to do so. My initial funding request is about $21,000. That's to get me credentialed with more than 10 local insurance companies that are popular in the area, including TRICARE for our military folks, as well as, like I mentioned, Medicare. My break-even is 100 sessions a month, or 25 a week. I'm currently doing closer to 30 or 35 a week myself. I have pretty low fixed and variable costs. My variable costs are only credit card and billing processing once I decide to outsource that. And I also wanted to mention that while most companies are not able to make money in the first year, I'm able to make money in the first 2 months or so, even by seeing just 39 clients in the first month. Some of those will follow me from my old practice, and some of them I expect to be new as well. My 5-year plan, like I said, is to be able to hire other clinicians. My mentor is somebody that runs Richmond Creative Counseling. She started as an LPC and now has 55 clinicians under her, including people that are mental health practitioners who prescribe, and people like dietitians. So I think that would be very cool too. And that's my time. Thank you. Thanks.
you mentioned twice Medicaid.
Yes.
You mentioned Medicaid.
Yes. So from what I know about the community so far, in terms of who's being served, there is those both providers locally both serve Medicaid. I don't see that there's a specific need for Medicaid providers as much as there is Medicare. I certainly would be open to that. If the community tells me there is a need for Medicaid, I certainly would be open to getting credentialed with Medicaid and doing that. But specifically what I've seen is nobody's attaching kind of that Medicare aspect. And a lot of people are moving out here to retire and things like that. So, thank you. Sure. Thank you. 105 West Broad is what I'm looking at. I have been looking to get in touch with the owner. We're just kind of trying to figure out when we can get in touch and adjust it. That would also require a little bit of construction, but not too much. It's pretty much ready to go. Just a little drywall. Yeah.
All right, if you said when you leave where you're at now, you probably have clients following you. How many clients would you expect to walk into the door? Like, let's say tomorrow you open. How many do you think?
I would say, so I said like my first month I would hope to do like 39 new people, right? When I'm looking at my numbers later, those are recurring numbers, right? Like people schedule with me every week for 9 months or whatever. Excuse me. But to answer your question, I think I would probably expect about 15 of my clients to follow me, which would leave about 24, 25 new clients my first month, I would think. And that's after some marketing.
All right, what resources or community research has been done to see the need in, like, let's say, the town of Blackstone? How many people have we done, like a market study to see how many people?
I've done a little bit of that. And what I did was I actually called myself and kind of posed as a client, how long is your wait list? When can I be seen? Sort of thing. And I'm being told, I'm close to intakes, it's a 6-week wait. I can refer you somewhere else, sort of thing. So I see that there's a need of people waiting. And, I am the type of person that if somebody calls me and says, my kid's in crisis, I'm like, can you do 6 o'clock tonight? Sort of thing. Like, I'm not going to leave somebody hanging. And I see that there's a need for that here. Even BCU has seen a need. So I'm jumping on that bandwagon. I think I can do it better here and not make people drive.
Are you prepared for some of the behavioral impacts because of COVID and quarantine and some of those things?
Yep. So I'll give you an idea. I do it every day. So I see kids as young as 4 now via telehealth, even through COVID. And I just had a little kiddo the other day tell me, Miss Emma, you help me problem solve and make me think better about my feelings. And I'm like, that's what I need to hear, right? So yeah, I'm definitely able to feel like I can connect with people, even via telehealth through COVID, and definitely prepared for kind of the aftermath that we're seeing now as there's more reentry, specifically in the fall surrounding kids. I'm seeing more kids now, kind of this summer, in preparation for going back in the fall, right? So yeah, I'm kind of already seeing that a little bit. I practice at ThriveWorks in Midlothian, Virginia. I'm in Midlothian Village. I initially started full-time. I was working as a hospice social worker, got my license and worked at Willow Lawn, commuted from Amelia. And then when they gave me the opportunity to open their new location in Midlothian Village, I jumped on that. So, but I still commute about 50 minutes each way. So.
If you didn't receive $1, would you still move forward?
Yeah, I would. I see the need, and I think that I'll be able to scrounge it up between some of my own funds, some family and friends that believe in me, that sort of thing. So, yeah, I definitely see the need and want to move forward regardless. Just want to make sure I'm okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My name is Ferris Gerard. I have a degree in engineering from James Madison University. My company is Cypress Home Innovations. My plan is to sell tiny houses to start with and then move into greenhouses and other accessories. So many of you have probably heard of tiny houses from Pinterest or from the popular TV show Tiny House, Big Living. But did you know that tiny houses are still a continually growing market? IKEA actually even branched out recently and starting to build a tiny house. According to iPropertyManagement.com, tiny house sales are expected a huge boom, according to real estate professionals, because of popularity in two major groups, millennials and baby boomers. So millennials tend to have more debt and be attracted to the sustainability aspect. So that makes the low price tag and the low carbon footprint of tiny houses really attractive to them. Baby boomers see tiny houses as a way to downsize into retirement and enjoy that period of their life debt-free. So when it comes down to it, there are a couple of really big problems that tiny houses solve. As lumber prices and building material prices skyrocket, the cost of a house is at an all-time high. It's just going to keep getting higher. While a tiny house can be sold for 1/5 of the cost of a house. And there's also another epidemic no one's talking about, which is junk epidemic. We keep buying stuff, we don't know what we're going to do with it, we don't use it, we throw it away. Every time my parents move, my dad goes to me and says, I don't know why we're moving this stuff, I'm going to throw half of it out anyway. Tiny houses have less space, and so they make you focus on the possessions and things that are genuinely important to you and useful. There is a possible setback with this business that I want to be upfront about right now, though, because I think that it will be a very good thing for the community moving forward. It's up to each individual locality whether or not you can legally park a tiny house as a home. Now that is an issue. They're not legal in Nottoway or Blackstone right now, but I plan on meeting with people in various localities to try and work out a plan for time living in Blackstone, because people will flock to wherever it's legal to live in tiny houses. Until then, because I know that will take time, I can sell tiny houses to people who are planning on living in already tiny-friendly places, such as Augusta County and Buckingham County. And I can sell tiny houses that are convenient as accessory structures. But that is a goal moving forward that I think we really bring a lot to Blackstone. I plan to sell my tiny houses for $65,000 as a base price. That would be open to price increase on a lot of customization or for bigger tiny houses and things like that. I would be one of 5 tiny house builders in Virginia, and people are just going to keep wanting tiny houses, so I'd be in early on and I can learn most of the trade and be able to be one of the leaders in the industry. I already have an office space, 109 West Broad Street, worked out that I would be able to rent from. I would be using that as an office or a meeting place for clients and as headquarters, and then I would build the tiny houses offsite. And if all of those things go according to plan, I would be able to open by the end of the year and have tiny houses sold. So financial plan, let's go with financial plan. Let's see on the back of this here. Price $65,000, variable cost is $42,400. And the unit sold today is 0.03, that just makes it so that it works out to about 1 month. That's what that is. And then I have monthly fixed costs of $8,533. The initial startup cost of about $10,000 for tools and things like that. So, with all that being said, my startup cost is going to be just under $7,000. So that's what I'm asking for assistance with today, in order to be able to have the tools and the initial materials. That's where I really need to go first. And I'm asking for that because I think that this business has a lot to bring to the community in terms of housing for those who would otherwise not be able to afford a house, jobs. I'm going to need to hire at least 4 people, a team for each tiny house. And then I'll be looking to fill other roles such as designers, financial managers, and possibly, you can see media is not my specialty. Maybe someone like Carl to work on media and stuff like that. And I've been doing marketing word of mouth to start, but then also looking at the JMU Alumni Association. Okay. All right, any questions? All right, out of time.
All right, so the initial request, from the way I'm reading this, is $10,000
I would be requesting assistance with as much of the initial startup cost, $70,000, as is possible. I'm going to look into other possibilities such as investors and stuff like that for that cost. but the cost of materials, that's not really going to go down. So that's what I'm going to do.
So you are game for whatever this grant may have to offer, whatever basic. Yeah. And if I heard you correctly, right now, other funding sources, what do you have in line for other funding sources? Let's just say in the event that this committee is like, yay, we'll give you $7,000 to get started.
Yeah, that'd be great. But yes, I would have to pursue other funding sources. Like I said, investors. I do have, there are a couple of people in Blackstone, other business owners, who have been a really great mentors to me that I would consider as investors. And I would also consider taking out a small business loan to start with. We had Taylor Quick come in and talk to us.
He's a pretty good guy to get a loan from, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a great guy.
So where are you going to manufacture this off-site?
Yeah, so that is, it's open to a couple different options. I do have a potential place where they're renting out warehouse space just by the square foot, and that would be a perfect location for me to do that. I could do it under like a pole barn sort of thing as well. I'm currently building a tiny house. Me and my girlfriend are building a tiny house for us to live in, and we've been doing that outside. So that is possible, if not ideal. So I would be able to build that. That's not it, but I do like that.
So this is more of a comment,
Yeah.
not a question. But this is tourism knowledge because when you go tiny houses, homestays, this is something that happens there.
Yeah.
Campgrounds, we don't have cabins, all that. So this is full-blown tourism.
Thank you. That is the part that I didn't get to, that I had
So
started.
that's where you work with people in the localities, tourism people, to get in touch with them.
Yeah, I'm hoping people will be able to rent tiny houses as Airbnbs, which is pretty common already, and see that it's a tiny house friendly place, and then move to the state.
How many municipalities in this general region allow these houses to be set up?
Everywhere has different standards. Virginia Beach will allow tiny houses to be treated as regular houses, but small, which is very different from what a lot of tiny house owners are looking for. I think there's a couple of other counties that I didn't have in mind, but it's a pretty small number. So anyone in Virginia that would be looking for a tiny house, they would have to move to one of those places.
Or you can work with the locality when you go to a locality that wants something to do with that, then they will change the zone because this is not
There are one of these pictures that I didn't mention, tiny house community, and they will just get big employees working it off in that tiny house. And if I can get us to do things like that, that's great. I didn't see it.
You just have to work with the localities and go through the same permitting process.
Yes.
So in terms of shipping, have you considered that cost? What's the kind of what if someone says, I want to deliver to Raleigh, North Carolina? Have you considered the shipping cost that would be involved with manufacturing here and then shipping elsewhere?
I have thought about that. A lot of people are going to need a truck that can pull a tiny house if they're going to buy one. So I'm going to probably say up front, you come to me and pick it up, or you can pay a certain amount for shipping. And I haven't put in the necessary truck into this. I would be buying that personally, and then I would determine what those rates are.
But as she said, reaching out to your localities would be great, especially your surrounding localities.
Yeah. And I do know a couple of people just in Blackstone that are on would be interested.
So can you, I know you said something about pulling the tiny house, but you could make some things where it's permanent.
Yeah, like I said, I want to get in early on this so that I'm able to do all the different types of tiny houses, probably container homes and stuff too. But all of those have to be differently in how they're built. So that would be next.
Breathe. That's right. Just breathe.
Well,
deep breath.
I mean, how could you go wrong? Let it rest. You're right. Okay. I have to try to talk loud
and slow. Yes. Hi everyone, my name is Timothy Wilson. I'm a 37-year-old mom. I have a 1-year-old son and a 9-year-old daughter. To kind of give you a background and tell you what led me to this point, the storm that came in January, I was stuck in North Carolina. When I was stuck, I chose to go there because there were no hotels in Farmville, trying to plan my son's first birthday party. He was turning 1, and of course he wanted to do something big. Even though they won't remember it, I wanted to do something for him. And everything I called was either in Richmond, and I was like, man, I have family there, and I was going to want to travel there. You can only bring 10 or 15 people. There's no way, that it was grandparents, and not the daughter and the friends, it would never work. So I was sitting down thinking, and I was like, I'm not the only person that has this problem. Everybody has kids, everybody loves their children. I'm a licensed practical nurse, so I talk to a lot of parents, and I've met a lot of children. I've worked for Step Head Start, I was a health coordinator for the United County Intern. I've worked for the local pediatrician's office here in Jersey County, Dr. Alani, Dr. Ramirez, and I also work for Central. So from being in contact with a lot of parents, and I work in OB, so from also working for people that are pregnant, I've also been in contact with a lot of people that have children or deal with children. And one of the things I always ask when the children are turning 1, what are you doing for your birthday? Or when do you have any birthday? So I realized that not only was I just a parent, I was also responsible for something that I thought was very difficult. So like I said, I was struggling trying to figure out what to do for him, and I knew I didn't want to drive to Richmond, so I said, well, what would we need to do? So I came up with the business idea, Smiles and Giggles. I wanted to have an indoor play area so the children, not no more so, like it could expand to other ages, but like children, my son, I can take my daughter to the park and she can run and play with my son, most parks. I was just at Lions Club in Farmville. They had the children's side as well. But the demographics for this area, and I took the census in the 9 counties that are in a 45 to 50-mile radius of Blackstone. It's 158,000 people in all counties, so on average that's 17,000 per county. Some counties like Mecklenburg have more than, of course, not really. But there was a total of approximately 17,000 people per county. And when they broke it down to ages, there's approximately 5% with 850 children under the age of 5 per county. And scaled up, it's 3,060 approximately under 18. And our target market would be children from the ages 1 to around about 12. And I want to offer a space that they can come in and have age-appropriate play. Children can play that incorporated when it's from different ages. They come in and play, and also to have a birthday party in it, because it's not something that not often. The closest places here are an hour or more. They're either in Lynchburg or Chesterfield at the moment. And the most of them, they don't offer things for children multi-age. Like I said, I can take my daughter to the bowling alley here in town. I can take her to the farmers, but my problem that I have a lot of times is my son he's up in his car, so I want to offer something that, like I said, not just beneficial to people like me. You may be an aunt, you may have grandchildren, you may be a godparent, so everyone has access to a child. But, I feel it would be marketable too. Also, as far as marketing, I feel like with y'all see, I'm a talker. I can talk. I've already started a social media page. I started last Wednesday. Before we came here, I had 505 followers already. I've been reached out. One lady, she asked me when would my projected opening date be. I had initially said the end of August, beginning of September. She's interested in booking a party if I can get open. I meet parents all the time that are like, hey, we'll come. They've given me emails, let me know when you open. They can follow my page. I guess that's all. I mean, if you all have any questions, I can probably pretty much answer that before I forget.
How about a space?
The space, that's what I was getting ready to get into. Justin has been working with me, with Mrs. Carolyn Davis, the old Pearl restaurant. And it really doesn't need any renovations. It doesn't even look like it was a Chinese restaurant. It has, when you get in the opening, when you walk in, I would set up the area for them to come in, either do open play or they can do private play dates or do some groups for like do a 2-hour session, but it's just 90 minutes. You can give me 30 minutes in between some of these stuff. But I initially want to be the only one as I phase into different ages and different services, I plan to upgrade equipment. So literally, I could break even with my expenses with 4 birthday parties a month. And that's not including play dates or weekday birthday parties. That's just price for 4 birthday parties and either Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. And then, also in the building, they have another room that I want to phase in like a souvenir shop, and open more and have more days for people just come in. And in the back area, that's where I would have like 2 tables like you all have. Children can be playing, moms can be sitting, people are eating at different tables in the back.
So your children work
well, actually, I haven't worked since I had my son. Well, child care has been a problem with that, so I plan to do this full time and keep coming in. So that's the thing. As far as in a business model, that's for myself. Well, actually, child care is kind of sticky with the regulations. One thing I did look into is like, for instance, if someone's in the thing, or I know on the end of our street where the building is ready to open up a break shop and they won't allow kids. One thing I plan to phase into that I can legally do without being under child care